once we get that right, which is for me the most important thing, that they have, first of all, respect. The second one is commitment. The third one, passion. Those three ingredients are non-negotiable.
Hello and welcome into the Non-Negotiables podcast. I'm Gavin and I'm joined today by Justin. How you doing, Jazz?
I am good, Gav. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good. So it's been a while since we chatted last on the 100th episode. We didn't get around to doing one earlier in the week. We apologise for that. The schedules just didn't basically allow for it. So today we'll wrap up the Bournemouth game and we'll look forward to the Manchester United game and go around a few other stuff that's been going on in the world. So, Jazz, let's start by looking back at last weekend. Obviously, we got to go first last weekend before Manchester City. We got to set the pace. Starting 11, it's the same starting 11 that's been in the previous couple of games. No real surprises there, right?
No, I would say this is, well, I mean, the Trossard Martinelli is still kind of a big question, right?
Do you think it is a big question for the rest of the year? I mean, I'm not long term. You know, we've said before, right, that this isn't about long term. This is just about winning out the rest of this season. So do you think there is actually a debate there? Because I think that's kind of, bar an injury, or Martinelli coming on at the weekend and scoring a hat-trick, I think that's kind of settled for the rest of the season. Do you think there's still a debate about this starting lineup?
No, I think it's probably fair now, Gav. I do. You know, I've been a big admirer of Trossard, like coming off the bench, being kind of a super sub. But the fact is, Martinelli is decently good at that as well, at least running at tired legs. So yeah, I could see this kind of being, you know, what it's going to be for the last two games, and I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it's a really solid lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would still have started Martinelli, to be quite honest with you. I think getting Martinelli back into form is so important, but I get, how do you leave out someone who's just scoring every game? Like, I don't think Trossard even played well at the weekend. I think he might have been our worst player. But once again, he scored a vital goal. He scored a goal that made it safe at a time when we looked a bit shaky. I understand why you can't drop him at the minute, and Arteta does not like changing winning teams.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a talent in that, right, Gav? In and of itself. I mean,
100% there is.
Yeah, he can be, you know, not so great, but he is scoring every single game and important goals too. You know.
Well, the comparison that I've been hearing, and I really can't get away from, is Freddie Ljungberg at the end of the 01-02 season, especially when Pires went out, and you know, Pires did his cruciate against Newcastle, and Ljungberg just stepped up, and it was literally every week, goal after goal after goal after goal. I mean, in the league, in the FA Cup, he fired us to the double with those goals. I don't think Trossard's as good a player as Ljungberg, but it's that same knack of getting in those positions, and it's that same knack of finishing every time, or almost every time, that he gets there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a huge, important talent. And I think he's one of the best. I mean, I think we talked just last week, maybe the week before when Paz was on, but you know, about him being one of the best finishers in the squad. But I mean, he does have this talent of just getting goals or getting assists, making stuff happen that it's innate. You know, it's not taught. He's very hard to replicate or hard to replace.
And that's the thing, right? Like, if we get a chance on Sunday, there's only one man you want it to fall to. Like, I am more confident with that falling to Trossard than I am with it falling to Saka. There's something about the way, and I mean, like, his goal his goal at the weekend, it wasn't even like it was a great finish into the corner. It was kind of in the middle of the goal, but he takes it early, he hits it well, and he gets it on target, and that's what he does again and again and again. And I think there's something to that, and there's something that can be learnt from how he takes those shots early. And again, it's very Freddie Ljungberg-like, the way he's just got this knack of getting it just out the keeper's reach, even if it's not in the corner, or catching the keeper by surprise by going so early with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't expect him. I mean, maybe I've been an Arsenal fan too long, but I didn't expect him taking that shot just yet. And it was very early. It caught the keeper off guard, and I mean, it works for him.
Well,
He
and he
he
put his foot through it, Jazz. I mean, look at
he did.
compare the one that Saka missed, right, from the Havertz pullback when it was he was it was a tame effort on his left foot when you would expect him to bury it. Compare that to how Trossard hit it. There's not a whole ton of difference in it. It's just that belief and just that little bit more, conviction, I think, in the way Trossard behaves in front of goal than any of our other players, including Saka, who is and should be our best goal scorer.
Yeah, it really is interesting. I think when it comes to Saka, just specifically, which I know this isn't the point of your comparison or anything, but they are. He's recognizably our best player, right? Best attacking player, at least. And
well,
so
I think Odegaard is, but yeah, I take your point.
Yeah.
He's the player that's going to score the most goals. Put it that way. Every season, he will score the most goals unless we go and buy an Erling Haaland regen this summer. Like, we knew coming into this season that Saka would be our top goal scorer, and lo and behold, here we are. Saka's our top goal scorer.
Yeah. Better way to say it. Thank you. But I think they're always looking for that. Where I think Trossard, maybe the opinion is starting to change, or the reputation maybe is starting to change. But even at Brighton, I always considered him a bit more of a creator. But yeah, I mean, he lashes at these shots like it's going out of style, mate. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with surprise, if nothing else.
Yeah, and I think Tomiyasu also had his best game in a while.
Tommy was really good.
Yeah, I thought he was suspect at Spurs. He was suspect against Chelsea as well. This was a much more comfortable day for him. I mean, the fact is they didn't attack very often. I know in the second half they got on top a little bit, but they didn't attack very often. And when they did, they had that big guy, Semenyo, was it, out wide on his side? And they tended to try and hit him in the air, which, Tomiyasu is not going to be worried about that. So I think this was a game that was kind of perfect for him, really. And he didn't have that much to do, but what he did have to do, he did very well, and that was good to see because, like I said, he has been shaky. And this starting lineup is the starting lineup now, and I'm fine with it. But I think game will help Tomiyasu.
Yeah, I think so. He should be really brimming with confidence. I think just several very good displays. And I mean, yeah, you're right. He can be shaky, but I think at the same time he's out showing what Zinchenko was. I know you won't like that, Gaff, but I do. I think he is. I think in the drought that Zinchenko was, it's very refreshing seeing what Tomiyasu's performance will to most fans.
Yeah,
no offense.
I think that starting lineup is the starting lineup. No matter what you think of it, that starting lineup is the starting lineup to the end of the season. And like I said, I'm fine with it. So on to the game itself, Jazz. I want to start here because I don't want to get into this later on. There were 3 big decisions in this game, 3 VAR decisions, and let's take them one by one in chronological order. So first off, it was about 15 minutes in, and Christie, with his boot knee high, slammed straight into the shin of Saka. To me, this is as obvious a red card as you'll ever see. I mean, the red card that Vieira got earlier in the season was kind of similar, but he didn't actually touch the guy. But it was a kind of similar thing, and I think Vieira was also a bit lower with his foot. I don't understand how this isn't a red card. I don't understand how the ref doesn't get sent to the screen. And this is the 3rd one of these we've had in 4 games. We had Jackson on Tomiyasu in the Chelsea game. We had Kilman on Havertz in the Wolves game. And now this one. If referees are not cracking down on these, I don't know why the referee is out there.
Maybe I've just been conditioned to see so many of these fouls, like you mentioned, Jackson, Kilman. I didn't feel this necessarily was a red card again.
Really?
I
thought this was the worst of the three.
I
By far the worst of the three. It was
I
higher.
didn't.
It was higher. It was more studs up. The other two, you could at least say, well, you've only caught him just above the ankle. This one, Saka's foot was off the ground and he still caught him just below the knee.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel that strongly about this one. I think there's something about, studs on the leg that is a lot more dangerous. This one.
Well, this left holes in Saka's shin. I mean, you can't get more studs on the leg than this. Saka was down for 7 minutes? And he's literally got 2 holes in his shin. So, I don't think you can get more dangerous play than this tackle.
Maybe I am misremembering. I just watched the first half, literally just watched the first half, and I don't remember thinking it was that shocking. But I don't know. I think a lot of Arsenal fans are just kind of conditioned nowadays, which isn't right. But who was it?
Christie, Martin Christie. I think his name is Martin. Yeah. Christie, yeah. And I don't know. I thought it was a horror tackle. I really did. It was one of them that you could maybe miss it the first time, but when you see it again, it's just an awful challenge. I don't know. To me, that is a solid red card.
Wow.
I don't think you can really get any more red than that, in my opinion.
Wow. No, it does look a lot worse than I remember seeing. Jesus. But this, to be fair, this video I'm watching is stills. But yeah, the marks on his leg are wicked. Well, I thought it was shin to shin.
And the ref didn't see it. That's the thing. This is exactly what they said. They don't want VAR ref in the game. They want the ref to have a chance to look at what he's missed. He missed this, and they don't send him to the screen. I don't understand at this point what you are going to the screen for if this isn't it.
Well, I think we have to ask the question, who's in authority here? Does the VAR
the VAR recommends he goes to the screen, right? The ref doesn't ask to go to the screen. The VAR recommends it.
Recommends, but he doesn't order or, I don't know. I think there's something inherently flawed with the whole system. I know you're not a fan of VAR, but I think if VAR is going to be there, they should be it should basically be a demand to look at the screen if they feel it needs to be.
Yeah, it's I don't know what happened here. I don't know if they said to the ref, "Do you want to look at it?" and he said no. I don't know if they just didn't recommend that he looked at the screen. But whatever it is, I think that is a horrendous mistake. I'm willing to overlook the ref because he didn't see it. But the VAR, I think, was awful here. So we'll come on to the second one, Juz, which was the penalty right before half-time. I am on record of my dislike for Havertz and his diving. To me, this is another dive. I do not think this is a penalty. I do not think this should be given as a penalty. I understand that 7 times out of 10 it is given as a penalty in the Premier League, but this is not a penalty. This is a dive, and I find it a bit embarrassing, to be quite honest with you, and I don't see how you can defend it.
I've done something like this before in a game. You just the legs coming across, you step over it and drag your back leg. I've done that before, 100%. That's not to say I think it should be a penalty. I think I would have admired Havertz more chasing after that ball and trying to score the goal. That being said, I think what the ref saw probably was decently convincing as a penalty. But I'm in agreement with you.
This is where I get confused.
I don't like it.
This is where I get confused with it, though, Juz, because we got awarded a penalty against Manchester United in the home game earlier on in the season. And to me, there was more contact on Havertz in that penalty incident that the ref went to the screen and then basically gave the other way than there was in this one, where he's dragged his leg across the goalkeeper's arm. To me, these type of incidents where the forward and Havertz has made his mind up. He's getting a touch off the goalkeeper before he knocks it round the goalkeeper. He's not going round the goalkeeper to score. He's going round the goalkeeper to get a touch and go down. And to me, these incidents are far worse than when someone exaggerates a defender dangling a leg out or something like that, because you've got a goalkeeper that's got no option but to come out for the ball like that. And the goalkeeper hasn't touched Havertz. Havertz has touched the goalkeeper. I want to be clear on that. Like, I've heard a lot of people say Havertz hasn't got to get out of the way. Havertz didn't have to get out of the way. Havertz intentionally left his leg there to get hit. That's a completely different scenario. So again, for me, the ref has not only got this wrong in real time, but he's got it wrong looking at it at the screen. And VAR didn't think this was a penalty, right? Because they took 5 minutes to approve it. They were looking for any way they could to get rid of it. And the ref just wasn't having it changing his mind.
Yeah, and I mean, this is again where like clear and obvious error, right? It's fucking stupid, Gav, because I could see why it was Coot, right?
Yeah,
David Coot. Yeah, I could see why Coot would give that that penalty.
Yeah.
Looking at it, but yeah, I think it was obvious Havertz was looking for the contact. I mean, he made the contact. He could have easily stepped over with his trailing leg and slotted home to an empty net.
I don't think he could though, Judge. I think if you watch that again, I think the two defenders have got back behind the goalkeeper, and I don't think Havertz does score from there. But to me, I think Havertz's mind is made up before that. I don't think Havertz decides to do that because the defenders have got back. I think he's made up his mind what he's going to do before he even goes around the goalkeeper. And I don't think he had to move his leg either. He just had to carry on his normal stride, and the goalkeeper would have missed him.
Yeah, I agree with your point in the sense that he decided like he was going to draw contact and go down. I do think he could have buried that. I know the defenders were actively moving, but I still think someone like Havertz at that closer range, he could have finished.
But then you could also say someone at Havertz at that closer range could easily miss.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And then the third and final one was the Bournemouth disallowed goal. We were 2-0 up. Ball goes up in the air. Raya goes up for it. And I actually think that he's probably going to try and catch this ball until Solanke starts to move him. And that's when he decides to punch because now he can't get a full hand on it. This is the toughest one of the three for me. I think the other two are very easy. I think the first one's a red card. I think the second one is not a penalty. I think this is the hardest one of the three. I think what makes this probably just a foul is the fact that Solanke never looks at the ball, right? He's just trying to move Raya. There's not an awful lot of contact there, but I think it probably is just a foul because Solanke isn't looking at the ball. Like, in the NFL, how you won't get a pass interference call if the cornerback looks up at the ball. But if the cornerback never gets his eyes around to look at the ball and he just plays the man, you're going to get PI every time. To me, that's what this is like. Solanke never gets his eye on the ball and never looks like challenging for it. His whole reason for being there is to move Raya. And to me, I think that's why this is given. I think this one can go either way. And this is, to me, this is the incident that is proof positive that VAR in football cannot work, because 50% of the people are going to see that as a foul, 50% aren't, and nobody's wrong and nobody's right, which means that VAR cannot work.
Man, Gav, this is a real existential one. I do think this is easily the most difficult one to call. I remember my first thought was, what kind of weak ass punch was that? But after seeing it more, I see the contact from the defender. I see what Raya is trying to do. I looked for the eye contact on the ball from Solanke. Didn't see it. I think referees are more inclined to protect the goalkeeper in this kind of situation.
I think the fact that the goalkeeper has to leave his feet, right, is why referees have to protect goalkeepers in this situation. We saw Neil Maupay basically end Bernd Leno's Arsenal career, right? Well, actually, what he did is he created Martinez's Arsenal career and thus his transfer fee when he went to Villa. But we've seen that. So I think when a goalkeeper has to leave his feet, I do think he has to be protected. I know it's not a popular opinion. I know everyone says goalkeepers are too protected. But at the end of the day, the goalkeeper is throwing his arms up in the air and he's leaving his feet. If he lands awkwardly and tears an ACL because he's been pushed in the air, that's why you're protecting him. If you get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer broke David Seaman's ribs years ago in a game at Old Trafford where he went up to claim a ball and Solskjaer just jumped into him and broke 3 of his ribs. And I think that is why referees protect goalkeepers. It's why referees have to protect goalkeepers. This is, there's nothing malicious in this from Solanke. He's not trying to
I don't think
anything like that. There's nothing like that. And like I said, I think this one is very 50-50 because the contact isn't minimal. The contact is there. The force isn't really there. And I think that's kind of what makes you think, well, I think he could have just done a bit better there.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's why the call is the best. It was, no harm, no foul, no red card, no penalty. It was just a disallowed goal, which implies a foul, which I think it was.
Yeah, and I think this was the easiest decision for the ref to give, right? The game, we've basically dominated the game. We're 2-0 up. It's a home game. The sun's shining. The easiest decision for the ref is just to disallow that goal and carry on. And I think basically he chose the path of least resistance. But like I said, I think that one could have gone either way. I don't think it's one you can have many complaints about if it goes against you. I think it's one of them where if it goes for you, you say phew and you move on. What did you think of the shout for a penalty in this incident, which is probably before Solanke even begins to touch Raya? I'll be honest with you, to me, that's not a penalty, but my bar for a penalty is maybe higher than a lot of other people's. I don't want to see penalties given for a slight tug. So to me, I don't think that's a penalty. What did you think of the Saliba one?
I didn't think it was a penalty either, but again, we're biased, of course, but no,
yeah.
I didn't think.
And let's be fair, if you were saying but if you were saying the contact on Raya is enough for a foul, then I understand why Bournemouth say, well, then the contact by Saliba also has to be a foul. If you're setting the bar at that contact on Raya, then does the contact by Saliba, is that greater than the contact on Raya?
No, because goalkeepers have been protected for a long time. They've been protected for as long as I can remember. Now, they've gotten more protection as the years have went on, but no, pretty much any touch on a goalkeeper is called for a foul on a, like an attacking position. And I think that's a ridiculous comparison to make, honestly, for Bournemouth fans. They can fuck off.
All right, well, let's get past the VAR decisions because I think it's weird. The VAR decisions have obviously taken the headlines and the most talking points. But the fact is, I thought we were fucking brilliant at the weekend. I really do. That first half was as good a first half as I've seen from us. If we'd have gone in 4 up at half time, I don't think there could have been any complaints whatsoever. We missed a whole ton of chances. Partey missed 2, the one that he blasted over the bar and the one the keeper saved. Saka, obviously, with the tame shot. We missed a lot of chances in that game. But the first half, I thought we were
Rice too.
Yeah, Rice, the one Rice put wide. And, he said himself after the game that played on his mind because it was such a bad miss. So I think, the talk of the VAR really, it glosses over what was actually a really good performance by us.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I don't know, mate. I feel like every time we've got a really good performance that there is like some VR discussion to be had. And I don't want to, dwell on that or anything. It's just, we can dominate games. We have most of this season. It doesn't have to be some like referee conspiracy of why the other team lost. We're better than Bournemouth and we dominated Bournemouth and we won.
And to be fair to Iraola, he said that after the game too. He said, Arsenal were a lot better than us. The best team won. But, and I kind of get that, but the fact that there's a but there when I really don't think there should be, they should really be getting on the coach and thinking, that was a bit lucky we didn't get 8 put past us.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I did it, right? You hear that?
Yeah.
It does feel like there's almost always something when it comes to like an Arsenal win, when it's to like maintain the title challenge or maintain the title lead like last year. there's always got to be, oh, well, Arsenal didn't deserve that. I feel like we're the only club that gets that kind of shit.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I haven't heard this same, and I didn't watch the Man City game at the weekend, but Moan and Imran text me about it. I didn't, I haven't heard the same amount of vitriol about the Gvardiol penalty, which apparently wasn't a penalty. But again, I haven't seen it because I didn't watch the Man City game.
I'm not either. I
No,
won't
so
watch Man
let's
City
not
for
talk
the
about
rest of
something we haven't seen then, because
Yeah.
neither of us watched the Man City game. But other than him, I haven't heard anybody screaming about that. So
I didn't even know it was a controversy until
yeah,
you
apparently
said it.
I don't know if it was their first goal or their second goal or what, but apparently
Yeah.
it was like a clash in the area. He got a shot off, and then the ref pointed to the spot out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But again, haven't
Just,
seen it, and I don't plan on seeing it.
just to be clear, I will I will not watch a Manchester City game for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's fair. It's good for your sanity.
Oh, season, not year. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
probably catch it a few times, next year. But
I think we have to talk real quick about Declan Rice, the runner-up in the Player of the Season. I thought he was exceptional again at the weekend, and this thing that he does, where on 85 minutes he just finds a reserve of energy. I mean, this was the case at Wolves most obviously, most glaringly, but he just finds this extra bit of reserve at 85 minutes that other people don't have. The way he got up in the box, I mean, you've seen the videos. He wasn't even in the screen. He won the ball on the edge of our box, and he wasn't even in the screen as that ball moved forward. And all of a sudden, he appeared tearing up on Jesus' right for that ball. And it was a good touch and a smash into the corner. And that was like, you could see, as he hit it in the corner, you could see him thinking, that's for the one I missed in the first half.
Yep. I was thinking that exact same thing, like after the miss and him hitting that goal. But yeah, there is a bit of a reserve energy there that I feel like he taps into almost every game. He's an amazing late game player. He seems to be always ridiculously energetic. I feel like he's scored a lot of our later goals. And he's in this very elite club of over £100 million signings that have actually worked. There's not that many of them.
I was driving yesterday or the day before, and I was playing Spotify in the car, and I had it on random, right? And it threw up our episode from when Declan Rice was about to sign for us in the summer. And it's really funny when you listen back to it. We got one bit wrong where we said that we thought he was going to be a pure 6 and a 6 only. So we did get that bit wrong. But the impact he's made as a player is exactly what we thought it was going to be. We were saying, well, you said this is a can't miss prospect. This is the only player I would pay 100 million for because it's going to work out. I was saying that he's basically going to be our version of Roy Keane. Driving the team forward. You were saying about how his character and leadership was going to make up for what we lost in Xhaka. We got it spot on, except for where he's playing.
Yeah, I think you gave him a little more credit, but I mean, if you listen to the episode, that's fair. I do think you gave him a little more credit in the 8 than I did, to be fair to you. But yeah,
I loved him long before he joined, though, didn't I? I mean, I was banging this drum for 2 years before we signed him. I just thought he was one of the most incredible footballers that I've seen in a long, long time. Just the way he can do almost everything, and everything that's in the almost category, he just works on so he can do it. Like the assist for the second one. When he kind of gets his touch wrong from what was not the best. Ødegaard had another magnificent game, by the way.
He did.
But the touch from Ødegaard's pass that wasn't the best pass of the day into him wasn't great. But then to have the speed of thought to be able to flick that ball to Trossard with the outside of his right boot, that's not a pure 6. Do you know what I mean? That's someone that's got a little bit more about him than and I love this player, but more about him than, say, Gilberto Silva did.
It's like every weakness in his game, he is continually. He's like a fucking RPG video game character. He knows the weakness in his stats, and he just goes out and trains them. And then the next time you see him, he is like
And he seems to be able to. He
whatever.
seems to be able to do it in the space of a week.
Yeah, it does feel that way. I agree. It's insane. Yeah, I love the player. I do not regret the what was it, 105, 105 million.
Half
Don't
price
regret
as the
it at
song
all.
goes.
Jesus, I mean, I love the guy. And I think he's going to be here for the long haul. He's still a young guy. Let's not forget, this isn't like a 28-year-old. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better player.
No.
And look at Chelsea, and not to throw a shade on this player because I really respect him, but I mean, look at Chelsea and Caicedo. You know, it's just,
or even
Enzo,
who's a tidy little player, but they paid the same amount of money that we did for Rice, and their impact is nothing alike. Enzo Fernandez.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's nothing comparable about their impact. Enzo's a tidy player, but he's not this sort of player. He hasn't got this sort of aura about him. He's just not this sort of player.
Very tidy, no impact though.
Yeah.
Little impact.
Yeah, so I think it was overall. I think it was a really good game from us. I think 3-0 was a good result on what could have been a difficult game, and really wasn't a very difficult game. You know, they came into it in form. I do like Iraola as a manager. I think he's done an amazing job there. But we got exactly what we deserved out of this. I know you said you didn't watch the Man City game. I didn't either. We actually went out. It was Kentucky Derby Day here in the US, so we actually went out and perched ourselves up at a bar afterwards to watch the horses.
Who won? I didn't even look the first time in my life.
Oh God, now you've got me. I can't remember the horse's name. Not me. Put it that way. I didn't win. I lost. But I can't remember the damn horse. It was something Dan. Inspector Dan or something like that won it. One of the guys I was drinking with, he won, so he was happy, but I didn't. But yeah, so we went out and did that, and I obviously was just checking the score every now and again. And even though I expected it, it's still a little bit deflating just when you're watching them goals go in on your fucking app on your phone.
You know what's deflating to me? Is expecting, or hoping rather, that Tottenham takes points off.
See, I've given up on that now. I think if there's a 0.00005% chance, which is probably what it is, of them dropping points, it can only come this weekend at Fulham. There's no way Spurs are taking anything off them. None at all.
But wouldn't it be the Spursiest thing?
It would be the funniest thing. And yes, it would be pretty Spursy. But it's mad. So, all right, mate. Yeah. Well, listen, let's come back in the second half and we'll talk about this weekend coming up. We've got the Player of the Year and Manager of the Year stuff to talk about as well. So come back and see us in the second half. Jazz, I will see you after the break.
Sounds good.
Hey guys, just a couple of quick halftime messages for you. Firstly, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. It really helps us reach a wider audience, particularly on Apple Podcasts. Secondly, we're on all the social media platforms as the NN Pod. We're really trying to build a strong Gooner community. So next time you're on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, look us up, give us a like or a follow, send us a message, interact with other listeners, or just have a look around. Thanks for listening from myself, Paz and Jazz. We really appreciate it. Welcome back into the Non-Negotiables podcast. This is part 2. Just picking up from where we left off in part 1. City go to Fulham for the early kickoff in a game that I won't be watching. I'll be walking the dogs.
Same.
And then I've got to work. So I won't be taking in any of this game. How comforting is it to see Fulham players taking it so seriously that rather than training, they're flying kites?
It makes me feel actually more comfortable.
It's true, because they're not stressing out about it.
Yeah, they're real quick. Okay, are you an anime fan at all, Gav?
No.
Okay.
So this is going to go over my head, but you carry on.
Okay, so there's the scene in Dragon Ball Z, and I reference it because everybody, I'm sure, knows what Dragon Ball Z is. But anyways, 10 days until a tournament against this villain that wants to destroy the world, Cell. the two main characters, father and son, Goku and Gohan, in the 10 days in that space before the tournament, they don't just keep training. They go off, they fuck around. They just do weird ass, like, side gig shit. That's what I'm thinking about Fulham. They're so relaxed, mate, that they know. They know. They're about to go Super Saiyan, Gaff.
Oh, God. The thing with Fulham is that they have a very strong reputation that is very well earned for getting to around about 43 points and then basically just going home for the rest of the season.
Is it home or away?
It's at home. It's at Fulham. It's at Fulham.
I mean, Craven Cottage is quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we managed to lose there somehow.
But this time of year, though? I mean,
I mean, it's going to be a sunny day out on the river. Fulham players are going to be in their flip-flops. So, yeah, I do think that if it is going to happen, it will be here. I don't think Spurs have any chance whatsoever. I know that West Ham have no chance whatsoever. So if they are going to drop points, it is going to be this game. I don't really see it, and like I said, I won't be watching.
Neither will I be watching.
Do you hold out any hope at all? Because I'm kind of done now. I'm kind of just, I've accepted the fact that they are just going to win these last 3 games, and whatever we do is moot.
I do, weirdly enough, but it's tiny, Gav. It's real tiny, and
Will that be extinguished after the Fulham game if City win there? Or will you still carry that little bit of hope until they've left the toilet bowl?
Yes, I will still hold hope until Tottenham. Who's their last game?
West Ham at home.
Yeah, okay. So after Tottenham.
Sorry, Bern.
So after Tottenham, yeah, that'll probably be it. But you never know. You never know. I understand Spurs have been, better under Ange. But I don't think they can pull off what they pulled off previously under Conte and such.
Getting a result despite losing on XG by like 0.1 to 0.57.
Yeah, or pretty much every other stat. Yeah. He sets up to play the same way. No matter what, we're no stranger to. I mean, I feel like Wenger used to do the same, but
are you saying that keeping that massively high line against Haaland and De Bruyne might not be the best course of action when you've got Christian Romero at centre back?
Man, I hate to break this news, but no, I think it's going to be a disaster.
That's the bit that I think I think the worst way to lose this title would be if Man City draw at Fulham, which basically turns it into a race for goal difference, and then they put 6 past Tottenham, 7 past West Ham, and sneak it by 1 goal. I think that would be the worst way to lose this title.
I didn't even consider that as an option until now, Gav. Thanks, mate.
Sorry.
Now I'm gonna
apologies, but I do. I think that would be the most painful way now, and I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. It's obviously unlikely, but I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. And I'm even a draw at Fulham, although technically it hands us the initiative, the fact that they've got them 2 goals to run up them 2 games to run up the goal difference. Burn said to me, Man City will get 12 against us on the last day of the season if they need it for their goal difference, and I don't think he's wrong. West Ham have given up to the point where, I mean, I don't know. I've seen a team quit like this. The manager's already gone. It's half them players ain't going to be there next season. It is over for them.
Yeah, it's over for West Ham. Yeah, I have no faith in West Ham at all. No offense, Burn. But yeah, no faith in West Ham at all. Almost, I would say about 90% of my faith is in Fulham, 10% in Tottenham.
I don't know. That's 10% I wouldn't be comfortable giving over.
Yeah, well, I mean, man, I barely remember a title, mate. I remember the Invincibles, but I mean, I was young. I barely cared at that point, you know.
Yeah, I remember relying on Tottenham
You're
to.
a lot older than me, Gaff. You know,
Yeah, I know. I'm ancient, but I remember needing Tottenham to get a result at Old Trafford one year.
99.
We had when we had Villa at home, and
Yep. I
fucking
looked this up. I looked it up.
Les Ferdinand scored for them, and it obviously everyone then it was radios inside Highbury, right? Like that's how we were getting the news. Someone would hear it and it'd go round, and Les Ferdinand had scored, and then they went all Spursy, and I think Beckham levelled, and then I can't remember who got the winner for United. It might have been Andy Cole got the winner. Yeah, and basically that was that. We beat Villa 1-0. Kanu scored, but it was no dice, and just having any sort of faith in Spurs. I mean, this, if you think about it, this must be what it's like to be a Spurs supporter. Like, it doesn't matter how much faith you put in it, you're going to get disappointed, and it's an awful feeling.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, mate.
No, it really wouldn't. It really isn't good, except maybe Son and Mane. I think I'd wish it on them, but other than that, I wouldn't wish that on anyone else.
Those poor bastards.
Yeah. Awful. Anyway, all right. So the City Fulham game, we're not going to watch it. We're going to hope for the best. We're going to expect the worst. Then on Sunday we go to Old Trafford. We have played some good teams at Old Trafford. We've played some bad teams at Old Trafford. We generally come out with the same result, which is a maximum of 1 point. That has to change on Sunday. My feeling on this is that Manchester United cannot beat Arsenal. Manchester United cannot get a point against Arsenal. Only Arsenal can give points away here. I don't think it matters who's fit for them. I don't think it matters who's centre-back for them. I don't think it matters who's up front for them. The gap between these two teams is so large that if Arsenal play semi-decent, they are going to win this game. My fear is that, especially if Man City turn Fulham over, maybe our heads ain't in the game and we somehow manage to extend this Old Trafford hoodoo and manage to throw it away again. That is my probably irrational fear, because when you look at these two teams, this team is no better than the West Ham team that we beat 6-0. This team is no better than the Brighton team that we beat, was it 4-0 at Brighton? This Man United team's no better than either of those teams. This team's no better than the Chelsea team we just beat 5-0. But I don't know. I just think at this stage of the season, if City win on Saturday, I see that being a real big blow to us. And there's just a world where I can see we just don't turn up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a realistic world, Gaff. I mean, unfortunately,
I mean, it's illogical though, right? Like, if you put these two teams beside each other and you look at the way we've been playing and you look at the way we've been playing away from home, there's no logical reason we shouldn't just be going there and turning them over, right? And there's no reason for me not to believe in this team, because I do believe in this team. I've told you again and again, this to me is the best team we've ever had. I do believe in this team. But there is something about the hoodoo at that ground that just freaks me out. I think I'm just too old, as you just said, as you so succinctly put it. I'm too old. I've been through too much, and I've seen it too many times. I've seen them beat us with some proper shit teams there when we've been half decent. I don't know. I've just got this feeling, man. I don't like having this feeling, but I just got this feeling that we could do something really stupid on Sunday.
Well, hey, mate, thanks for being honest with us. All right. I appreciate it. That's the first step towards recovery.
It's the second step of big bottle of Grey Goose.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I will get that done as soon as we finish the pod.
No, but honestly though, I'm with you. I remember some absolutely stacked game, or what should have been stacked games. Let me say that. At Old Trafford, the Rashford debut. We all know that one. But yeah, for some reason, this does seem to have a bit of hoodoo for us. Apparently, I don't know, aging, collapsible, shitty ass stadium is scary to play in, I guess.
Well, make no mistake, this is their cup final, right? It's not the actual cup final, because they're already going to get beat 5-0 in that anyway. So this is their cup final. In
Ten Hag, he's still Ten Hag. he's still hung up on the game earlier this season. He's gonna be like he's gonna have the guys up for it. Like
Yeah, Ten Hag hates correct decisions. Hates correct decisions.
Yes. So I mean, yeah, Gav. I mean, I'm nervous about it. I am because obviously we have to win out to even have a chance, but we still may not win a title.
And I'm comfortable with that, Judge. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I want the title. I want the title badly. But I am comfortable if we end up this season on 89 points and plus 60 goal difference. I am comfortable
breaking every single record we've ever broken. Basically, points, goals scored. Yeah,
I'm comfortable with that, man. If we do that and don't win the league, I am comfortable with that. This has been a brilliant season. Once again, we've watched some fantastic football. We've watched some brilliant players. I am comfortable with that. And you know what? I think we will win the league next year. It's already a spoiler alert for the pre-season preview that we'll be doing in August. I do think we're going to win the title next year. I do. But I am comfortable. If we go to Old Trafford and win, and then we win on the last day, whatever Manchester City do, this has been a brilliant season. This is a fantastic team, and I am comfortable with it. What I do not want to see is us to go out with a damp squib, lose at Old Trafford or draw at Old Trafford, and then we go into the last game of the season already out.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better, mate. I mean, no matter what happens, we have to do our job first. And it starts now, at Old Trafford. And so we have to win it, and I think we'll win it. I feel good about it. I know, history and blah blah blah. I think they're dire.
Well, you saw it in the week, right? Because this game I did actually watch. I mean, I only had half an eye on it because I was working, but I had it on in the background. And they just got slaughtered by Palace. I mean, absolutely taken to the cleaners. Casemiro got run past. I believe it was a record for a Premier League game. He got dribbled past like 8 times or something. He got dribbled past as many times in a game as Saliba has since New Year's Day. So that's, that tells you how crazy that game was. The goals, their goalkeeper's a clown. I have no idea how he managed to concede a couple of them goals. It was incredible. I don't know what Ten Hag's going to do.
Is it still Onana?
Yeah. I don't see any way that they can put Casemiro and Evans out together again. They're going to have to find some other way of doing it. I can't see Ten Hag doing it again. We're just going to roll out the same 11, right? Like, I don't see any changes in our team unless there's an injury. I know Tomiyasu didn't train on Monday. I'm guessing that's just I'm guessing that's part of his normal routine now. Tomiyasu, he needs a little bit more rest than other players.
That's what I'm thinking.
But I just think it's going to be the same team rolled out again.
Yeah, mate. I don't think we have to change anything going into United at Old Trafford. We're going to do the exact same thing, and as long as the players show up, I mean, we should smack them. And I think that's going to be where Arteta's head's at.
I hope so. I mean, it would be really... Because let's be fair, like I said, this United team are no better than the Chelsea team we've just demolished 5-0, the Brighton team we beat 4-0, or the West Ham team we beat 6-0. This United team are no better than those teams. So we have got the ability to go there and really smack them around, and I would love to see us really smack them around. I mean, I thought after the Spurs, exactly. I mean, the worst defeat that I've seen us have at home was 6-2 to Man United in a season where we only conceded 18 league goals. It was in the League Cup, and it's the only game I've ever been at where my granddad wanted to leave at halftime. We were 3-0 down at halftime, and my granddad wanted to leave. It was the year they won the Rumbelows Cup, I believe it was at that point, and Lee Sharp destroyed us. And we were 3 down at half time. My granddad wanted to leave. I wouldn't have it. And Alan Smith scored 2 in about the first 15 minutes of the second half to get it back to 3-2. And I turned around and said, see? And of course, when they scored the fucking 6-1, which I think Lee Sharp bent into the top corner from the edge of the box, my granddad was like, can we go now? I was like, yeah, okay. And that's one of my worst memories. And like I said, that was in a season where we were fucking brilliant.
Sorry, Gav.
Yeah, it haunts me. I'm telling you, it haunts me. So so I don't know. We should be smacking them around. I really hope that we do. I hope we go there and play the team and not the occasion. because the occasion's going to be far more of a challenge than the team is.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I hope we do that. Like you said, Ten Hag's going to be extra motivated. I'm interested to see what he's gonna do with his lineup. I mean, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't really care what he does with his lineup because I don't think it makes a difference. Like fucking Harry Maguire being fit doesn't make a difference to us. There's no changes that he can make to that Man United team that makes a difference to us. It is just about how we perform and how we approach the night, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like it's still somehow like a legendary game. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be because they've fallen behind.
You know what I think it kind of is like? 4 years ago when we'd play Manchester City or Liverpool, when we were constantly getting dicked, and we'd go into them games and you were hoping for a result, but you knew you were going to get fucking trounced, and you were just hoping that they were going to miss a shit ton of chances, and you were either going to take one or, whatever. Like we did to Liverpool, actually, didn't we? We beat them 2-1 at home in a game where they fucking absolutely dicked us. I think they had about 30 shots to our 3, and we beat them 2-1 at home. That's kind of what this is now with United. Like, they are so far below us that they know on the game itself, we are going to dick them in the game itself. There's no doubt about that. It's just, can we take our chances, and do they take theirs? That basically their only hope is that we put up 4 XG but somehow manage to not score, and in their 0.2 XG something goes in.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's possible for United anymore. I mean, we have
well,
goals.
They did it to Liverpool 3 weeks ago.
And still a kind of a messy form Liverpool. I think we have goals coming from so many areas. I just don't think they're going to be able to shut down every goal avenue we have. There's just no way.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're not gonna shut it down. What they're hoping for is that we are just going to miss a shitload of chances. That's all they're hoping for. Like basically the West Ham home game where we had 31 shots and couldn't score. That is their only chance. They're not gonna shut us down. They're not gonna outplay us. They're not gonna outcreate us. They're just hoping that it's going to be one of them games, because football can be funny like that, right? So they're just hoping it's good. It's a bit like what we're hoping Man City do at some point in these last 3 games. Just to have a game where nothing goes in. The game they had, was it Nottingham Forest last year where Haaland missed like 2 open goals?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was. And they, I don't know if they drew or they lost. It was one or the other, and Haaland missed a bunch of open goals. And that's basically what we're hoping happens again to Man City at Fulham or at Spurs, and that is exactly what United hope happens to us at Old Trafford
or at West Ham.
Well, I mean,
okay, but yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and I don't see us doing that. Maybe last year I think we were a little more naive, or maybe unprepared is a better word. But this season, we just...
I feel, do you know what I feel? I feel like Declan Rice won't allow that. Do you know what I said to you, like in the last 10 minutes of games, he seems to find something that basically no one else has got. I kind of feel like, for all the fact that the magic comes from the boots of Ødegaard and the goals are going to come from Saka or Trossard, I just feel that Rice has got something about him. I don't think that collapse we had last year would have happened with Declan Rice in the team.
No.
The defeat, the draws at Liverpool, at West Ham, Southampton, and then the defeat at Man City. I just don't see that happening to an Arsenal team that's this good with Declan Rice in it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think there is an intangible there that can't be measured, but it's literally like grabbing the club on and pulling pulling it over your back and carrying them. He's done that. I mean, it's really impressive. I would even almost say it's more influential than Xhaka, but I mean, it's only
it is. I think it is more influential than Xhaka, and I was a huge Xhaka fan. I love Granit Xhaka. But it is more influential than Xhaka. It's undeniable that it is. I mean, he's as good as Xhaka was, Declan Rice is a much better player than Granit Xhaka. Better player than Granit Xhaka. So you can't deny that. And I think Granit had a different role. Granit was like the team's dad. right? Like Granit was obviously older, the team was younger, and he was almost like the dad looking after everyone. Rice is different. Rice is like the inspirational older brother, I guess, more than anything else. I think the players, when they look at Xhaka, what they saw with Xhaka was a father figure. When they look at Rice, they see an inspiration. I think it's two different things.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, and I couldn't argue with that. I think it's right. Yeah.
All right, so moving on from that, hopefully we'll do the business, and we can come back on Monday or Tuesday, and all in great spirits, especially if Fulham can pull off a miracle as well. Let's talk about something that I don't care about at all. The management, the manager. What's that?
No, yeah, go ahead.
The manager and player of the year awards. I think individual awards in football are stupid. But let's talk about them anyway. So the Premier League Manager of the Year, they announced the shortlist. It's Guardiola, it's Arteta, it's Klopp, it's Emery, it's Iraola. For me, if you're doing this honestly, I think it's down to three. I think it's Arteta, it's Emery, or it's Iraola. Unless you just want to give it to the guy that wins the league. In which case it's, probably Guardiola, or the guy that's retiring or leaving, in which case you give it to Klopp. But I think it's one of the three. I would understand it going to any one of the three. I'm incredibly biased. I think it should be Arteta. I think to do what Arteta has done, especially when he didn't get Manager of the Year last year, I think it's Arteta. But I can understand if you give it to Emery or Iraola. And that pains me to say, because Unai Emery should never have nice things.
Yes.
So
sorry. Okay.
Where would you give it?
No, I agree. Sorry, Gav was drinking water. I didn't mean to just give a one-word answer. Sorry, mate. No, it absolutely should be Arteta. I think this year, what we've done in competing. I mean, the fact that it was a 3-horse race, just not quite a 2-horse race this season. We've been in the lead. We're in the lead now. I know a game in hand and shit, but we all know games played is better than games in hand, and I don't know. It definitely should be Arteta this year, but I do have a feeling it'll be Pep if he wins again. I do, and it's shitty, but it's a popularity contest at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Is there anyone you think he's missing from that list? I mean, I don't see anyone else really that could be in there. I mean, Ten Hag is obviously comedian of the year, but I don't see anyone else that could really be in that shortlist. I think the shortlist is correct.
I think Emery actually has a good shout. I think what he's done with Villa has been very good, but I don't think it's been stark enough to win him Manager of the Year. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you're kind of feeling that same way.
Yeah, and it's at the end of the day, I think fourth hasn't been the most. It's not been the most competitive race for fourth.
It's not.
This year.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people fancied Villa to do well at the start of the season. I know I haven't gone back and listened to the pre-season predictions yet, although I will. But I think from memory, both you and Paz picked Villa to challenge for the top 4, or to certainly.
Yeah, I think I had them fifth.
I think Paz might have had them 5th or 6th too. So I think I didn't, because it's Unai Emery, so I probably had them getting relegated. But but there was definitely some expectation around Villa. So I don't think I think Iraola has achieved great things with Bournemouth. Like I had Bournemouth. I'm sure I had Bournemouth in the bottom 3. I'm sure, and if not, I had them pretty close. So there
was a lot of shit teams this year, though. To be fair,
there was a lot of shit, but they're 11th or 12th. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're not 15th. They're 11th or 12th, so they've hung in there pretty well, and they've had a good season.
Yeah, nothing to take away from.
But you're right. Like, how much of that is really tangible success? Like, if what you've done is finish above 7 shit teams, is that the same as running Man City to the last weekend of the season? Or even leading Aston Villa into the Champions League for next year? Is it the same? It's probably not. So for me, although I think Iraola's had a good season, I think that probably does count him out in my view. So
Emery too. I mean, honestly, a strong Chelsea and strong United. I don't even mean title contenders. Just decent.
yeah,
size.
it's definitely been a weak race for the top four. I think you can say there's been three very good teams there's been two superb teams in the league, one very good team, and then there's been a whole load of mess before you get to the absolute dross at the bottom. The bottom five are absolute dross, and I think in that middle bit, there's just been a hole from about sixth downwards. There's just been a whole. Well, really, you can go from fourth downwards, and it's just been a mash of who wants it less.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I mean, Chelsea seems to be getting their act together, but I agree they've been mostly dross this season.
I mean, we've just beaten them 5-0. So I don't know. Chelsea to me, I think they've just, they spent a billion quid, and they're just they're
that
trash.
point of silence. I mean, basically said it all. It did.
Yeah, they're just trash. So, so player of the year, Judge. There are two absolute obvious misses on this list. So the list for player of the year is Erling Haaland and Phil Foden from Manchester City, Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard from Arsenal, Alexander Isak from Newcastle, Ollie Watkins from Villa, Cole Palmer from Chelsea, and Virgil van Dijk from Liverpool. No Bukayo Saka and no Rodri is very, very strange to me on this list. And this is going to sound weird coming from me because I think Bukayo Saka's had a bit of a disappointing season, but that's because of where I think he should be. But to me, and I like Alexander Isak, right? I think he should. I would love to see us get him. I think he should be our
no way he's player
I
of
don't
the year.
see how he gets on this list.
Yeah.
I do not see how Isak gets on this list. I can understand Ollie Watkins. I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cole Palmer, I think there's a lot of recency bias on here because I think he's scored a lot of goals lately. He scored a lot of penalties. But again, for me, I think Watkins and Palmer should be off of this list and Saka and Rodri should be on the list.
I think Palmer should be on. I do. And Rodri is one of those unfortunate players that plays six that gets no respect, no matter how good or important they are to their squads. And when we look at these kinds of competitions, Gav, I mean, let's be honest, it rarely ever falls to a defensive player.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think Van Dijk won it the year Liverpool won the league, right? And other than that, I think it's almost always an attacker that wins it. I think it will be Phil Foden that wins it.
I do too.
This year, I think it will be Foden. And again, there's a lot of recency bias because Foden's been on fire in the last few months. For me, it should be Martin Odegaard as from my biased view. I think he's the best player in the Premier League. I think he's been.
I do too.
Actually,
I think it should be.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's going to be a little bit unlucky because basically he's created a lot of chances that have been missed. I think if he had another 7 assists, which he should have, then I think it's probably a different conversation. But because the assist numbers are not as high as they should be, I think he'll probably get passed over. I would imagine it's going to be similar to the players' vote, which has already been done, obviously, where it was Foden first and Rice second. I think you're going to see a similar thing here with the Premier League Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, not to make for poor listening or whatever for our viewers. I don't have a huge opinion on this. I do agree. I think it should be.
Well, I don't think anyone's been.
But
I don't think anyone's separated themselves from the pack enough, right? Like last year, Erling Haaland scored 721 goals. So of course, Erling Haaland won it last year. You can't argue with that. I think was it the year before that De Bruyne put in possibly the best season we've ever seen in the Premier League as a footballer. I think he get something
like 19 assists or something.
Yeah, and didn't he get like 17 goals? And he was just, I mean, he was just head and shoulders above everybody. And I don't think there was an argument there. But I think as good as I think Odegaard has been, I do think he's the best player in the Premier League. I don't think that he's really separated himself from the pack enough to say this is a layup. Phil Foden is young. Phil Foden is English. Phil Foden's had a lot of press. So I think Foden is going to win it, and you can't really argue with that.
Yeah, I do too. I think Foden will win it, and I don't think it's weird, right? Because I don't think it's undeserved, but I also don't really think it's deserved. He's um
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, and you can argue the same. You can argue that Odegaard had a better year last year. I don't think he did, but in terms of pure numbers, he did. I think he's been a better footballer this year. But if you're just looking at it in terms of pure numbers, you can argue that Odegaard had a better year last year than he did this year, and he comes second last year. So I get it. Like I said, no one's really done enough to separate himself from the pack, so there's no real arguments whichever way it goes. The next award, Juz, is the Young Player of the Year. So the list is Erling Haaland, Phil Foden, Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, Alexander Isak, Cole Palmer, Mainu, and Udogi. You've got five players or four players that are in both categories, which I think is absolutely stupid.
same.
Almost all of these players are established Premier League players. I don't get the point of this award. I think they need to change the criteria, and if you have to change the name to like breakthrough player or whatever you want to do, I think they need to change this award. And again, I'm not one for individual awards anyway, but this to me is just fucking stupid because like how can you have like what I think is going to happen, right, is I think Foden will win the Player of the Year and I think Saka will win the Young Player of the Year. Saka's not even nominated in the Player of the Year, which I've already said I think he's.
Which one's older? Yeah.
I think Foden is just older. I'm going to actually check that right now. But I think.
Sorry, I just figured you knew. Sorry.
No, I don't. I've got a feeling that they're both 22. I think you're talking about months. So Foden's 23. He was May 28th, 2000. And Saka, I believe, is still 22. Yeah, Saka's still 22. So Foden.
So yeah, that's how it's going to go.
So Foden's like 8 months older than Saka. So I think Foden will get senior and Saka will get young player.
I'd give it Saliba.
And I just don't think Saliba or Saka should be in that category. I don't think Foden should be there. I don't think Haaland should be there. I don't think Isaac should be there.
It should be a breakthrough star.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with
Cole Palmer should probably.
Yeah, even though in terms of age, maybe he doesn't fit the profile. He's basically. I think he's basically
he's a Premier League star of a top 6 side.
Yeah, he's 4 months older than Saka. But at the same time, Saka's been doing this for years. This is Palmer's breakthrough season. So I've got no problem with Palmer being in there. My feelings on Mainu. I think he's just an average footballer that's being bigged up because he plays for a very bad Man United team. I think that Walton at Crystal Palace has been a much better player than Mainu has in what I've seen of him. Udogi, whatever you want to throw him in there, that's fine.
I like him. I like Udogi.
Well, he's new. He's new to the league. He's not, an established. So I've got no problem with that. I just think the first 5 names on this list: Haaland, Foden, Saka, Saliba, and Isaac. I just don't see how they're in for this award. It just makes a mockery of it to me. You're talking about established international players that are stars of their side and have been stars of their side for multiple years. I don't get how they get in this list.
Yeah, they've got to change the criteria. They have to.
I think so. For one thing, if Foden does win the Player of the Year and Saka does win the Young Player of the Year, then how the fuck is Saka not on even the shortlist for the senior? And how does Foden not win the Young Player? If he's been the Player of the Year, how is he not the Young Player? Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's stupid. They're going to give one to one and one to the other and call it quits. And if you're going to do that, then why have it?
Well, why have it, Kev?
Oh, absolutely. Why have any of these awards? These awards are all fucking stupid. Football's
they're stupid. I agree. Yeah,
so I don't get it. But they do these awards, and the fact is that the kids now are more about individuals than they are about teams. That's just the way it is. It's the Americanization of it's the Michael Jordan effect, right? But it is. It's the Michael Jordan effect.
I'm offended by that.
They follow players rather than teams.
I'll have you know, when Saka wins the Young Player of the Year award, he gets a +2 in FIFA.
Yeah, Yeah, I
So,
can believe it. Isn't he already on like 91 or something?
no, I have no idea. I haven't played FIFA since like 19.
Well, funnily enough, when they announce these awards, because you can vote on these, by the way, if you go to the Premier League's Twitter account, you can
Yeah, I
actually
won't be
vote
doing that.
on these. But when they announce it, they actually announce the players with their FIFA cards, with their ratings
Yeah,
on
the
the card.
ultimate team card.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
fucking
I don't play FIFA,
it's
so
diabolical, Gaff.
but yeah, well, it's a crossover, isn't it? I guess EA Sports, is it still EA Sports? Because they lost the golf, are they still
EA
got
Sports
they
FC.
still okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
they
they're
actually
but they
EA
sponsor
Sports.
the Premier League, right? They sponsor the website and they sponsor the fantasy game.
Yes, I believe that's true. Yep.
So yeah,
EA Sports FC, by the way, is free right now for the month of what month are we in? May.
mate.
Yeah. On the PSN, I just copped it. This isn't an ad. I just.
But if
I'm curious to
Sony
check
do
it
want to
out.
send us a check, we will happily
Yes.
receive it.
Yes, Sony. I do want to check it out. I haven't played in like 5 years, so I'm curious to see how like much more shit it is because I quit because it like was monetizing more and more every year.
I haven't played FIFA in years. The last time I actually got home from work one day and there was it was a PlayStation. I don't even know what number we're on now. I think it was a PlayStation 4, brand new. It only just come out, was sitting on my couch. And I came
Nice.
home and I looked at my wife and I'm like, "You bought me a PlayStation?" She said, "Nope, your brother did." And my brother actually sent me a PlayStation just to play FIFA against me. I think we
Nice.
did it twice, and then the PlayStation became a DVD player for about
Yep.
6 months,
Yep.
and then went in a box, and I've never looked at it since.
Hey, it plays Blu-rays too, mate.
Well, when we moved, I've got a bar that I've got on my back patio that I built, and my plan was on the big screen TV to hook the PlayStation up to it. It never. I moved 3 years ago. I still don't even know what box the PlayStation's in. That's how much attention I play to it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a PS5. It's a lot for my son, but I like I said, I mean, I'm excited to check. I will take any challenger from this podcast. By the way, and I'll
Challenge,
play with Arsenal.
challenge. We'll throw Justin's username out on the Twitter account, and you can challenge Justin to a game. So just and then you can write in, maybe save all the goals you score against him and upload them to our Twitter account. Does it work like that?
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine.
Perfect.
It'll
All
be
right,
a lot.
So humiliate Justin like 12-0, and then upload the videos. That'll be fantastic.
Yes.
Maybe we could even commentate on some of the goals against you.
Yeah, that would actually be really nice. We'll review the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And where was Paz at tonight?
Oh, so I actually got a message from Paz a couple of days ago. So what happened? Do you remember he was at the International Space Station fixing the DVD player so they could watch all the 7 seasons of Dawson's Creek? So what happened is someone has scratched the finale of season 4 on the Blu-ray. Funny enough, you just mentioned Blu-ray. So what happened is Paz got called to Houston, Texas, to NASA's headquarters to go on video link with the crew to teach them how to fix the Blu-ray disc so that they could see what happened to Pacey and Dawson at the end of season 4. And thank God he was there to answer that call, because if they missed that, I don't know how they would be able to basically carry on with their mission when they're wondering who Joey ends up with.
Jesus, mate. I hope this isn't the premise of season 5 of For All Mankind.
I will not be commenting on that. I believe Paz is part of the writing staff, so we'll just have to see where that one goes. So thank you very much tonight, Juz. Good luck, Paz, in your endeavours. Juz, I will speak to you next week, and there is a chance that Paz may actually be back from saving humanity from failing to know what happens to Joey Potter and actually being on the pod. So hold tight for next week, and we'll see what happens. See you later, mate.
See you later, bud.